Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And today I'm recording myself voting in the Nocturnal Awards 2025, put on by Nik Nocturnal. He's a YouTuber in the metal community celebrating the best of metal in 2025. The awards are going to be presented December 12th at 5 p.m. EST on Twitch. And there's some cool sponsors and giveaways. So I recommend voting. I'll put a link to where to vote in the description of the video if you want to vote and play along. And without further ado, let's jump into who am I voting for. So he does focus a bit more on metalcore, where my genre is more prog metal and prog rock, but I like metalcore as well and post-hardcore, that kind of stuff. And there's some prog metal in here as well. First category is Breakdown of the Year. So for that, didn't hear this, didn't hear this, didn't hear this. There's going to be a lot that I haven't heard, even though I have listened to about 400 albums this year. There's still so many that come out every year. So these first four I have not heard. Whitechapel, great. Sick Breakdown, pretty typical. Parkway Drive, I didn't hear that album. Lorna Shore, I think I like that one better than Whitechapel. So that's probably going to be my choice. Slaughter to Prevail, I heard. Nothing spectacular there. Spirit Box. I love this album. I love the album better than the Lorna Shore album, but yeah, they're probably the album that I love most on this list. But in terms of just the breakdown, I probably have to still give it to Lorna Shore over the Spirit Box song. And I heard the Fit for an Autopsy one as well. It's pretty good. Can't really beat Lorna Shore though. Uh, I also heard this one, Vanna Prey, and this is not to be confused with the band Vanna that has two N's in the name. It's a different band, but also really amazing. Probably my second favorite on the list, though. It's pretty close with Spirit Box, Whitechapel, and Fit for an Autopsy, but the leader has to be Lorna Shore here. Moving on to the next category, Angriest Song of the Year. And I have to be honest, I didn't hear any of these songs, and I haven't decided I'm not taking the time to like check out the songs that I haven't heard on this list in this video, so I'm going to skip voting in this category. I'm just going to have to go from the ones that I remember hearing, and I don't remember hearing any of these songs, although I've heard some of these bands before, but not these particular songs this year. Guitarist of the Year. Let's see. So I recognize band names more than guitarist names, and the Viljarta guitarist is excellent. Rivers of Nile, also excellent. Same thing with Fallujah, the best so far out of those three. Um, Allegiant, oh, I love it. Love this guitar player too. On par with Fallujah, definitely up there. Adam D from Killswitch Engage, he is great as well, but definitely not the top. He's not as technically skilled as the others mentioned so far, but he's a great riff writer. He's a great songwriter, great solo writer. He makes iconic and memorable guitar parts. So in terms of being iconic, like he's probably the most iconic so far, but just not the best. I think Legion beats Killswitch in guitar. Great. Shadow of Intent and Currents. This guy's great as well. Deftones, another one where it's good riffs, but likely the least technically skilled on the list so far, Stephen Carpenter, but he is a great groovy riff writer. He makes iconic, memorable riffs, and yeah, the Allegiant and the Deftones albums are my favorites on the list so far, but in terms of guitar playing, it's got to be Allegiant over Deftones. Mirar. good riffs as well. Awesome grooves and guitar noises, but it does all kind of start to sound the same. Spirit Box, again, good riffs. Can't really beat a Legion. Matt Heafy Trivia, good riffs, but hard to beat a Legion. And here we go. Here's John Petrucci. That guy's hard to beat. He's got to be the winner here. Dream Theater, amazing riffs, amazing solos, just great playing from John Petrucci this year. I don't even know that I really need to read the rest. I didn't hear Tetrarch or Malevolence, but Machine Head was good riffs again. But how do you beat John Petrucci? And Dave Davidson, actually, he's along with like Revocation, Fallujah, and Allegiant. Those are kind of the three that might be able to rival John Petrucci that I'd be considering putting close to him. But I got to go with John Petrucci. Drummer of the year. Let's see here. I mean, being a Prog fan, I've got to either go with Mike Portnoy from Dream Theater or Blake Richardson but from Between the Buried and Me. Um, I like Under Oath, and I think Aaron Gillespie is good as well, but like, how can he compare with those? I'm sure all these drummers are good. The Deaf Heaven stuff's pretty good, but I've got to pick Blake Richardson from Between the Buried and Me. He's just more underrated than Mike Portnoy. Portnoy already gets more accolades than Blake Richardson in the drum community, but Blake, I think, is pretty well on par, just as technically good, maybe even better in some ways than Mike Portnoy in terms of playing. So got to pick him. Vocalist of the year. Here we have, I see some vocalists that are amazing on here already. I didn't hear the first one, but Tatiana from Ginger, one of the best female vocalists ever in metal, and just one of the best vocalists in metal, period. Um, she could be a strong contender for the winner here. Just amazing. Who can rival her? Will Ramos is great for the intense, harsh animal noise growls, but I don't see how he could be the winner because Tatiana can do amazing growls too, but she can also sing beautifully and she's just more versatile. Courtney LaPlante, probably the second best so far. One of the best female vocalists as well. Just not quite as strong as Tatiana for me. Mm. Chino Marino is an interesting one. He's great, has a very unique and distinct sound, but can't beat Tatiana. Amy Lee is probably the best female clean singer on this list, just in terms of singing abilities. But she can't beat Tatiana or Courtney because they're strong in both clean singing and they can scream intensely, which I don't think Amy Lee can do. So I'm going with Tatiana Shmelyuk from Ginger, bassist of the year. Hmm. Well, Eugene from Ginger is amazing, and all the bass players on this list are good. I've heard all of these bass players. It's nice to see a category where I heard all of them this year. The best though, I mean, Dan Briggs is amazing between the Buried and Me. Uh, Jacob Umansky, I skimmed this list before the video and I had to Google him to remember who he was, but he's a touring member of Intervals, a great prog metal, instrumental prog metal band, and they're great. He's amazing, but it's got to be Dan Briggs. Masked Musician of the Year. Okay. Now this one's interesting because am I voting on how good the mask is or how good the musician is? It's kind of a strange category for me, so I'm going to try to consider a bit of both. And I think I'll have to go with Imperial Triumphant. Musically, for sure. Like in terms of the mask, it's got to be either Imperial Triumphant or Ghost. If I was going just by how good the character and the marketing is, I'd probably pick Ghost, but Imperial Triumphant because the music quality matters here, and that album that they put out this year is just awesome. They have great masks as well. So Zachary Ezrin from Imperial Triumphant, great mask, great band. Best call out of the year. Now, here's one where I have only listened to one of these tracks on this list, so I'm gonna have to vote for that. The Acacia Strain, awesome scream and breakdown and just hardcore stuff. The rest, unfortunately, I didn't hear. Though I have heard some of these bands before. Of course, I've heard A Day to Remember. Not a big fan of what I've heard from them, so I didn't bother checking out their stuff this year. Darko US, I've heard some of their stuff in the past. They have some good stuff, but I didn't check out their this track or their full album this year. All right, Animal Noise of the Year. Here we go. And here's one where I unfortunately haven't heard a single one in this one, so I'm going to skip this one. I've kind of haven't been listening as much to the like brutal deathcore where it's just about animal noises. Every now and then I'll listen to some of that stuff, but I've been focusing more on progressive metal, progressive rock, some of that post-hardcore emo, and I do listen to some metalcore, but I listen to some more of the like classic 2000s sounding metalcore that's sometimes the melodic metalcore, but also I kind of like the mathcore style metalcore as well, like the very spastic and chaotic. And they don't tend to do this animal noise stuff. All right, Feels or Reels. Speaking of melodic metalcore, I'm gonna have to go with Devil Wears Prada for this one. It's just a good, emotional, catchy song, and the one that I'm most familiar with on this list. I remember hearing Dayseeker and Bad Omens and Of Sulfur, and I'm sure I've heard some of the others, but this is the one that's memorable for me on here. Best metal content. Okay, so here's some content creators, and I don't know if I've seen all of them. I remember Heavy Metal Philosophy, great stuff. I remember 6 Samus, he makes some great videos. Rob Scallon makes great videos as well. Don't know if I've seen the Garza podcast or the Brutality podcast or heard those. Oh, Paul in the Sky, not sure what that is. Jada Drum's not sure. Dean Lamb is great. He makes great stuff. He's the guitar player from Archspire. And Josh Resna, never seen his content. Rockfeed is great for news and stuff, has great content. In terms of what I watched the most this year, it's probably going to be Rockfeed out of these ones. Dean Lamb, though I love his content, Heavy Metal Philosophy is good. 6 Samus, Rob Scallon, like those four are rivaling him, but Rockfeed just have to go with what I actually watched most, and they had the best best metal news source. So Rockfeed's nominated again, so I'm going to pick them because I got some good metal news from them. Although I did, Loudwire is good. I'm sure all of these put out good news. I haven't heard of every single one. I've heard of Metal Injection. I don't really frequent these Reddit threads that much, but I might have checked them from time to time. Metal Sucks, of course, I've heard of Louder Sound, Loudwire. But yeah, I don't follow all of these, but Rockfeed I got some good news from. Music video of the year. All right. Igor is amazing, amazing music video there. Gotta love it. I didn't see this one. Callous Cowboys, awesome. You get two tracks with that one, and it's a great video. I love the songs. I love the album. Igor made a fun video, but this one I might have to give it to Callous Cowboys over Igor. Orbit Culture is a good band, but not going to rival those two. And, it's kind of hard. Like, I don't know if I'm just supposed to judge the video alone, but I also kind of like to factor in the quality of the music a little bit. Like, Electric Callboy always makes fun, funny kind of videos. But yeah, we're going with Callous Cowboys on this one. Label of the year. So some of these labels I'm not as familiar with, but some I am. Like Rise Records has great stuff like Idola, Dance Gavin Dance, Spirit Box from this year. So they did a great job. Nuclear Blast did some great stuff with Obscura, though I don't know, Rise Records might uh, beat out Nuclear Blast this year. Solid State Records had some great stuff with Greyhaven, Metal Blade. They had Kardashev, Byzantine, and a Legion. So that probably makes them the winner. Napalm Records, maybe a close second, as they had Ginger, they had Catatonia. Sumerian had the Chiodos 20th anniversary edition of their debut album, which was neat but kind of weird. Roadrunner sometimes has some good bands, but I didn't see as much from them this year that I really love. So it's going to be Metal Blade for just even those three bands alone, Kardashev, Byzantine, and Allegiant. I really loved their work this year. So thank you, Metal Blade, for supporting those artists. Breakthrough Band of the Year is going to be Villanova for me. I don't really remember the other ones on here, but I remember them, and their music was amazing. So awesome stuff. Collab Song of the Year. This might be a tough one. I heard the Baby Metal and Slaughter to Prevail. Not my favorite on here. Poppy, Amy Lee, and Courtney LaPlante, End of You. That is a pretty epic collaboration. Such a sick song between three of the best female front women ever in metal. So I'm going to pick that one. Although, I was close to maybe picking Unprocessed and Fever 333. That one's pretty cool. This was a pretty unexpected track with rap vocals from Jason Butler of Fever 333 and Let Live. I was initially caught off guard by that. Not sure if I liked it because I don't usually like rap vocals, but the track also has like great hardcore screen vocals, and Jason does a pretty great job with the rap vocals too. Another awesome one on here is the Invent, Animate, and Silent Planet collab, but I don't think you can beat Poppy, Amy Lee, and Courtney LaPlante teaming up. So that's going to be the one. Radio Song of the Year. The Bad Omens track is good. Hard to say if it's going to be the winner. Papa Roach. I didn't hear this track. I enjoyed their big hit, Last Resort, way back in the day when I was a kid, but I never really followed them beyond that one hit. I think I heard a few of their other songs by them, but I never really listened to full albums. Not exactly my style. Linkin Park, that was a great catchy song. Good. I'm tempted to pick Linkin Park as the winner, but I see Sleep Token here. I might have to pick Sleep Token. Probably the best composition, the coolest chords on the keyboards, most innovative production on this list. As much as I do think this band, Sleep Token, is a bit overrated, the vocal style in particular kind of it annoys me. The auto-tuney kind of sound really, I find it grating. But I can't deny they are very good. They're very talented. They're just not my style, and I do think they're a bit overrated, but on this list, they do have the best radio song. It's the most interesting song on here. Radio songs aren't really my thing anyway, but I'll pick that one. Song of the Year. Rivers of Nile, House of Light is amazing, but Ginger, Green Serpent is awesome. So probably going to be that one, but let's see what else is on here. Electric Callboy is always a fun time. Lamb of God's great. Garia, awesome. Deaf Heaven, pretty cool. Lorna Shore is always good. Currents was good. Era, Trivium, Orbit Culture. Yeah, I mean, all good, but how do you beat Ginger? Green Serpent, just love it. All right, EP of the year. I don't think I heard the Darko US EP. I have heard this band before, but in the past, but I didn't check out their stuff from this year. I actually like the other band called Darko better. They're from the UK. But Darko US is pretty cool too. Didn't hear that. Invent, Animate, and Silent Planet was a very good collaborative EP, possibly a winner here. Trivium Struck Dead was also good, maybe not quite as good as the Invent, Animate, Silent Planet one. Didn't hear too many of the others, but Currents I heard, and that might actually beat out Invent Animate. Awesome, very good EP here from an awesome metalcore band. So Currents is going to get my vote. Now we're at the Epic One Album of the Year. So this has a lot of nominations, a lot of nominees. I love Deftones. I love what else? Spirit Box, but Deftones probably beats them out. Unprocessed is amazing, but Deftones is still Greyhaven, awesome. They might beat out Deftones for me. Um, Heard a lot of these other ones. Bless the Fall, okay, but how do you beat Greyhaven? Well, here we go. Between the Buried and Me, the Blue Nowhere. I love it. What a masterpiece. Killswitch was great. Dream Theater is great, but Between the Buried and Me, it's a masterpiece. I saw them live on the tour. Amazing. Deaf Heaven, very good. Not gonna be on my year-end list. I know a lot of people really like it, but uh, I like it. I just think there's a lot of other amazing stuff that I prefer. Viljarta's excellent stuff. A Legion, oh man, that's so good. But and Ginger, amazing. But Between the Buried and Me, how do you beat it? Igor is amazing too. Callous Cowboy is amazing. Via Nova, amazing. But it's Between the Buried and Me all the way. I'm going to submit my responses here. So I encourage you all to vote as well. Let's try to get the bands that are the most deserving to be the winners. And when you finish, you can click this link to enter the voting giveaway for a chance to win a Marshall JCM 800 and 1906 OB cab. So I'm going to be entering that. But I don't think you need to watch me do that part. I'm going to stop the video here. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. I talk about it all the time. I talk about my first impressions of new music as it comes out. And now we're kind of in the year-end season of 2025 where I'll be going over some year-end videos talking about, I'll probably vote in some more award things like this too, and just film myself doing that so you can kind of see what my picks are. But I'll be talking about things like my top instrumental albums of the year, top post-hardcore albums, top metalcore slash mathcore, top black metal albums, various subgenres of rock and metal, my favorite EPs, my favorite live albums, my favorite progressive rock albums, and then just like my favorite albums overall of the year, maybe debuts, prog epics. If you have ideas for categories of videos you want me to make, also let me know down in the comments. And stay tuned for all the great stuff that's to come. Peace out.